Welcome back to House of Heather. My name is Babs O'Heather. Today I am going to tell you 10 reasons why I am going to ditch my iPhone. Okay, so this one's kind of an obvious one. Reason number one is just less screen time. I currently have an iPhone, and I know it like tracks how much time I've been using it. And I am not proud. I spend way too much time on my phone. And even when I'm not using my phone, I'm probably like watching TV or, something like that. Or I'm on my laptop. Not my laptop so much. I pretty much use my laptop for editing these videos. Anything that is a little bit more time consuming that I don't want to do on my phone, I'll do on my laptop. So the laptop's not really an issue, but TV and my phone for sure is like the worst. I have been wasting way too much of my life I've on, screens. Like I feel kind of like a hypocrite right now because I'm using my iPhone to film this, but I feel like it's a net positive overall. But like I can't believe that over the span of, I was thinking about the other day, I got my first smartphone when I was 17. My mom and my stepdad got me one, and I'm almost 30. So it's been 13 years almost since, sorry, my bangs are bothering me. 13 years since I've converted to smartphones. And while they're super helpful and very convenient, you'll notice that's a key word in this video is convenience. They are very convenient, but it's just, I feel like screens are soaking so much of my life. And I'm sure there's a lot of people, from the videos I've watched that feel very similar. They just feel like they've wasted so much of their time on screens. So my second reason for wanting to switch to a flip phone is that I want to spend more time with my children. I'm currently pregnant with my second one, and I'm due any day now. Like my due date's the 7th, May 7th, but this kid's gonna come out any day. But I feel like Jean's still, she's still little, she's 3, and I haven't quite messed up completely yet, so there's time to kind of, salvage her childhood as far as like screen times and stuff like that. But I didn't realize until I started watching all these videos that I haven't been present with Jean, and I don't want to do that with this baby too. Like I feel like as their mother, I should be way more attentive to them, not just for like their basic needs like eating and stuff like that, but it's just like there was one guy, I wish I could remember, he was talking about, it was like a TED Talk, and he was talking about how he realized that a part of the behavioral issues his teenage daughter was having at home, a lot of it had to do with how she was feeling, neglected by her parents, especially him, because he was always on his phone, answering emails, talking, texting, on the internet. And he kind of had a come to Jesus moment where he was like, it's my fault, like it's part of it's my fault, like I don't interact with her, I'm constantly on my phone, like she's like, whenever she comes up to me, it's always like I'm like brushing her off because I want to be back on my screen. And sorry, I'm out of breath. And I feel like I do that with Jean. Like it was after that video I realized that I do that to her. She'll come up to me and I'm just like, wait, because I'm too busy watching a YouTube video, or I'm too busy in a group chat, or I'm too busy with whatever on my phone. And it's just really sad that I put my daughter's second to my phone. All right, reason number 3, I I want to resist temptations. And for some people, like, you might phrase it more like, I want to resist negative behavior. So, obviously, I've mentioned in a couple of my other videos, I'm Catholic. Not a very good one, but there are things, there's one thing I wanted to mention, but I'll get to that. But anyway, like some of the temptations or like negative behaviors I want to avoid is internet spats. Like I actually had to remove my YouTube app from my phone last summer because I just couldn't deal with, like, I would go into comment sections and I would get sucked into these stupid like internet like arguments, like, and it would just be so, while this isn't necessarily like a temptation, but well, I guess it could be, because it, like, if you really take that stuff to heart and like people's reactions to your comments, or, you know, going back and forth with a stranger, like it can agitate you and make you angry, and you know, you take that anger out on your family. Like, I would find myself doing that a lot last summer, and I had to remove the app from my phone. I still go on YouTube, but I have to go on the browser, and I don't use my login, so that like removes me from like commenting and stuff and getting sucked in that stuff. But I just think that it gives the person, if you're like me, a lot of stress, and it's not good for your mental health. But like, I realize I'm like arguing with complete strangers I don't even know, and literally these days people just will argue for argument's sake, like trolls and stuff like that, and they don't really care about what you're saying. Like, they don't. And while it's like, so the other part of that is insecurity. So I know myself, I do have an Instagram account, but I rarely use it. When I do go on, it's usually because somebody sent me like a link to watch a video or something. My husband keeps doing that, even though he knows I don't watch it. And I feel bad because I have family and friends that sent me a lot of like videos and my DMs and stuff, and I'm just like, I'll watch it like a month later, because I don't, like, I rarely go on there. And that took a lot of work to not to go onto Instagram. And I'm really proud of myself, because since like 2016, with all the like political you know, fighting online and stuff like that, like, I've since gotten rid of, I removed the Facebook app from my phone, and then I eventually got rid of my Facebook account completely. Not because of that, just eventually I realized the insecurity, not so much with like the politics and stuff like that, but like other people's lives. We see like the good side, right, of people's lives through Instagram, like, you know, and it, for me, I would constantly compare my life to other people's lives, constantly compare my body to other people's bodies, my successes to their successes. And it's just, it's really unhealthy. And I feel like that's caused a lot of insecurities for not just me, but all, especially like these new, you know, these younger people, Gen Z. I'm a millennial, but we are so, we want to one up, you know, we want to show the world that we're doing well and stuff like that. And it's like, we don't have to prove anything to anybody, you know? So, on Instagram, I'll scroll for like a little bit, whatever pops my way, like as far as like people's life updates, like I'll like it or whatever. And then, I get off as soon as I catch myself like scrolling, because then I get sucked in. I notice myself just getting, you know, well, it should have been like a 10-minute check, 15 cap, turned into like 2 hours of scrolling, and feeling less than, because I've compared myself to other people's lives when really I don't know what's going on in their life. I don't see the negative side. Like, I have to do this self-talk every time I do it, and I don't want to do that anymore. So, even though I've made a lot of progress and I've been able to kind of monitor myself, I don't even want that anymore. I don't even want that, like, that to be a possibility when I'm on my phone. You know what I mean? This is a sensitive topic and a little embarrassing. but I feel like it's so relevant, especially to today's issues as far as like internet and social media and screen time and all this, like just the subject matter. Um, while I don't personally have an addiction to this, I'm guilty of occasionally, and when I say occasionally, I mean like rarely does it happen. And I'm not just saying that to like make myself look better or anything. I've been lucky enough that I haven't had to an addiction to it. Or you know, I haven't found myself looking into it frequently or anything like that. Knock on wood. Is the topic of I'm just gonna use the code name for it or whatever because I don't know like YouTube's rules on this. Pornography. So, you know, it's really prevalent now that people are addicted to pornography, and it's a real issue. Not exclusive to men. I've from things I've heard, it's predominantly men, but you know, there are women out there that have also suffered from pornography. And I feel like as far as like the phone, with our phones, it's so much easier to access that stuff. And whether it's in written form or you know, filmed or whatever like medium it's put into, it's so easy to like, it's in the palm of our hands, so easy to access. And I feel like I wanted to add it to this list because while I said I don't have an issue with this, like as far as like addiction or anything like that, or I don't find myself like, you know, constantly on my phone looking at pornography, I think that it's important to for anybody that's watching this, that if you do find yourself, and you might be like me where you don't really have like an addiction or anything like that, but you do find yourself not liking that you're going and looking up pornography, that you know, it is not even just like being a Catholic or like a believer or anything like that, like because obviously that's, we're not supposed to be engaging in that, if you know, as believers. But just even if you're a secular person, like there's studies that show the negative impacts on our mental psyche in our relationships. And so I think it's important to bring it up. So not that you can't access that on a flip phone, I'm sure you could, but I feel like it'd be a lot harder to do and a lot more work. And you know, you could always switch to like your laptop or whatever, like if you really, really wanted to look it up. But I mean, this goes the same for like social media and stuff like that. But it would be like two more steps, and it wouldn't be as private anymore because like it's not on a small screen in your hand. It would be like you go from like a tiny screen to like a bigger screen, especially if you're trying to, guys, like since I moved out of my daddy's house and into my own apartment years ago, I and got a good paying job, I have spent my money on online, especially when I was getting married, when I was engaged, spending my money on garbage. Just like I look, just things. And I'm still guilty of that. Like I've gotten so much better since I've been introduced to minimalism and, you know, rationalizing things and, you know, not hoarding things and going through logically, like things that are, what am I trying to say? Like holding me down, you know, emotionally, like my mother's death and stuff like that. But anyway, I do think that when I am anxious, when I have this really bad coping mechanism of where I will go and I will be on Poshmark for hours, and I will be on Macari for hours. Like I'm sure in my other videos with my makeup, you've seen how much, or you've heard how much makeup I've purchased off of those sites. And it's not just makeup, like I've purchased handbags, clothing, and it's like, even though I'm still pretty minimal compared to what I was before, I don't want to do that, especially because I'm trying to build new financial habits. Not spending money that I don't have. Like in recent months, like in the past year, I've haven't just been spending money that we don't like have. I've been signing up for apps like Klarna and Zip and Affirm, and I'm not bagging on them necessarily because like this is a personal issue. Like I'm sure there's lots of people that use those apps responsibly, but I'm noticing that I am, it's like a credit card, right? With these apps where I'm like, it's fine. Like I can pay that off in 4 payments. Easy, easy peasy. And that's just not healthy. Either way, it's like the same thing. That's how I got in financial trouble to begin with. This time it's digital. It's not with a physical credit card anymore. It's like I literally just go, oh, okay, yeah, like I'll pay it through 4 payments through Zip or whatever. Anyway, so that's a huge temptation for me. It's a huge problem in my life, and if I keep it up, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna cause issues in my marriage, and I don't want to do that. And right now, my husband's like the sole breadwinner, and due to circumstances with my injuries and all that, and it's just not fair for me to be spending irresponsibly while my husband is working hard. So if if there's any reason out of these 10 reasons to switch to a flip phone and reduce that, temptation, it's shopping. It's a real problem for me. Okay, so reason number 4, I put to be more productive. So oh boy, for the past, like, I think it wasn't until like 2020 that I realized how much I've let myself down as far as like projects and business and stuff like that I've tried, that I've attempted in my life. Like I had to do some introspection. I was like, man, like I was even telling my husband, I was like, I have these great ideas in my head, I start on them and then I never finish them. And some of that is like insecurities, some of that is like analysis paralysis. Like I understand that, but I think a lot of it is being on my phone, being on a screen for too long. I have the attention span of a gnat a lot of the time. So like I will literally be looking up, something that's supposed to be towards producing something positive, whether that's my writing. I really want to, I want to write. And then the next thing you know, I'm doing something completely unrelated. Like I'm scrolling on something, whether it's Pinterest or Poshmark or whatever. Like I just I lose traction. And I'm I'm hoping that by switching to a flip phone that I will be more productive in my writing, more productive in my relationships, more productive just with projects I want to do. Like I know I've been wanting to start a podcast. Like, I want to work on this channel. I want to there's some screen well, I guess it's part of writing, but like novel and screenwriting stuff that I want to do. But it's just I'm so much of prey to my phone and my screen that it's just been so. Oh, even just reading too. Like I don't have the attention span for it anymore because I'm just so used to like the fast culture. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but like the instant gratification that a phone provides. So I don't really have the patience for writing or reading, and that's really sad because I used to be an avid reader. Number 5, personally, I want to be a good example. I want to be a good example to my children and to the other people in my life. I know it's a little harder to be a good example to other adults because we all make our own analyses and our own judgments, stuff like that. But I think if it's kind of like what Gandhi said, right? If you want to be the change in the world, or I'm already butchering that, but you know the saying, like, just be the change you want to see in the world, right? I think that's how it goes. And I was actually complaining to my sisters not too long ago, like maybe months ago, that I'm really sad because, like, and I'm not innocent. I know I have been sucked into my phone, sucked into social media. At one point I was a selfie whore, like, and I was complaining to my sisters that, like, anytime I go to like a family gathering, like a celebration, a holiday, whatever, everybody's on their phones, like, including myself. Like, I would just be like, even though if I'm not like, on Instagram, like, I would be scrolling on Pinterest, or, I'd be doing something, buying stuff I'm not supposed to buy, you know, but like, I would be so upset because it's like, you got one group of people over here taking selfies and, video themselves, and they're not actually living in the moment. It's like all make believe. It's all like, okay, cameras on, action, like, go for it. And it's just so, it's kind of pathetic. Like, I'm sorry if you're my family and friends watching this, you know who you are, and I'm not trying to like cast judgment necessarily on you. I just think that we have fallen prey to this culture where we feel that the need to put on a show for other people. It's like what I said, like, we don't have to prove anything to anybody, but yet here we are, like, trying to prove to the world that we're having such a good time. And it's like, instead of actually having a good time, you know what I mean? Like, I even felt that at my at my baby shower, like, people were on their phones and like taking selfies and like, showing their good time instead of actually like enjoying the moment. And I don't want my kids to look at me and that's what they remember of me. Like, mom was so busy on her phone. She was, whether it's selfies or Instagram or whatever, like, even just, oh, mom was too busy scrolling her phone. She was too busy browsing the internet to actually be in the moment, whether it's birthdays or holidays or whatever, like, But anyway, for adults, like, I'm hoping I know I'm gonna get a lot, like, my family and friends, like, laughing at me for, switching to a flip phone. But I'm hoping they'll see that, like, if I'm right and there's positive changes in me by switching to a flip phone, that I'm leading by example and I'm not saying everybody that watches me is going to be like, oh, I want a flip phone too now. Like, I mean, it's a drastic change, like, but at least they'll think twice about, like, what are my behaviors on my phone? Like, how do I spend most of my time? Like, doing introspection, because I know I'm not the only one that has literally been like a slave to my phone, to the screen, So anyway, I'm hoping that'll be kind of a good example for everybody and for myself. Like, I want to be proud of myself. Number 6, I want a new start. So like I mentioned, I'm going to be 30 this year, and I just feel like I want it, and not just because the number, like 30 is like a new chapter in my life. 30 seems to be like a huge milestone for people, but I want to take this opportunity before I turn 30 to start clean, new slate, new phone number, new habits, getting rid of the bad ones. I think a lot of the bad habits that I'm struggling with is due to having a smartphone. I'm ready for that. And some of these other reasons that I'm about to mention will add to that, like new slate, these new habits, these new behaviors that I want to bring on. So anyway, number 6, I want a new life. I want a new slate. If that makes sense. Okay, reason number 7, I put that I want to I want my attention span to grow. So I mentioned that I have a problem where I have an attention span of a gnat a lot of the times. Um and it's not like, I've noticed it even when I'm not on my phone. So like, I'm not even just talking about like when I'm looking something up and the next thing you know, I realized I've spent an hour on Instagram or something. I also mean that I want to I don't know if this is like an attention span thing necessarily, but like even just sitting alone in my thoughts, while I am able to do that for a while, I do find that myself itching to like pick up my phone, or, you know, like my mind is going where like, instead of thinking calmly and clearly and just, I'm thinking of the next thing I need to do, whether that's like add something to my grocery list, on my phone, texting somebody, calling somebody back. Like, it always circles back to having to do something on my phone. And it's not even like urgent stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be one thing if I'd be like, oh shoot, I forgot to call somebody back and it was like really urgent matter, important matter. Like, it's like, no, like, it's almost like an excuse for me. Like, I could just relax here, just think things through, you know, do some introspection. And it's like, no, I feel this need to like, oh, well, I need to call them back or I need to text them back. And it's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. So and I'm sure I'm not alone in that. Anyway, I just want to be able to pay attention, focus on the things that I'm currently working on, or just, you know, be okay with like what other people said in their videos, like be okay with being bored. You know what I mean? So that's reason number 7. Okay, so reason number 8 is better communication. So when I wrote this down, I meant in 2 ways. So if in the physical world, be a better communicator. This kind of falls into number 7 with my attention span. So I've noticed that with my phone, I will get so sucked in that like my husband will be talking to me and I just completely missed everything that he was saying because I was just too attentive to my phone, like instead of my husband who's right in front of me talking to me. And this kind of is the same thing with Jean, like, and it's so rude. Like, I hate when he does that to me, so why am I doing it to him or like my child? Like, and I don't want to do that with this baby either. And like, I don't know. Anyway, so there's that, like being a better listener, better communicator. And there's like times too, like I'll try like talking to him and I'm still on my phone, like talking to him, and I'll do what my parents used to do, and they didn't do this with phones. Like, this was just like them having a brain fart or something, but like they would start telling me something and then they would just like mid-sentence just stop and just like, I remember my dad would be like driving or something and he would just like stop and like space out. My mom would do it too. Anyway, I just thought like it used to drive me nuts, and I do it now that I'm older and I'm a parent, and like I catch myself doing that, like regardless of the phone thing. But like, if I could remove my phone from the situation, I think that would happen a lot less. But like, I would just like be trying to tell him something and I notice I'm on my phone, I'm like, oh, I'm not even like communicating well because I'm just too busy with my phone. So it's like not a good way to communicate. Anyway, so on the other side of it is that I find myself resorting to text and like, yeah, like pretty much text or email to communicate things, which those things are fine, especially when like you're doing like legal things, like where things need to be written. Like, obviously, clearly text or email is the way to go. Like, you want to have written proof, stuff like that. But as far as like friends or family, especially, there's been times where I've had a bone to pick, like with family members, and I will resort to writing like a novel. And So, and as a lot of you already know, like when you do that, text is usually not the best way to pick a bone with people. A phone call is a lot better. It's not the best way. Usually, if you can, in person would be the best way to do it. But I'm sure there's people out there like me. We just like go on this like, you know, spiel about how we feel over text. And it doesn't necessarily solve things, especially when you're dealing with somebody that genuinely just does not care. Like you took all that time to write out how you feel and you get no response. Like that's happened to me, and it angers me. But then I'm like, also, I probably should pick this phone with them in person. And it's so easy to hide behind our screens, behind a keyboard, right? I mean, that's the whole problem with the internet these days too, is that we feel so empowered to say what we're thinking, but we're not solving anything. It's not the best form of communication. And actually it shows that we're cowards, even though we feel like we're so empowered and we're saying what we feel and stuff like that. It's like my dad was telling me the other day. He's like, people are so like, I think they're such a badass when they're talking to you over text or like on the phone, but like what they're telling you stuff over the phone that they would never say to your face. Like, and it's so true. And like, I'm not just like saying that about like people. I've noticed that about myself too. And that's why like, I'm hoping this flip phone situation, because I've heard like people like the cons are like, texting is so tedious on these older phones, or feature phones. And it's definitely an inconvenience. But at first I was like, ah, man. But then I was like, no, that's a good thing. Like, that's a good thing. Like, we need to be better at, speaking for myself, like, I need to be a better communicator. And if that means pushing me out of my comfort zone, getting away from the screen, the keyboard, to talk to somebody, whether that's a phone call or actually like waiting till I see them in person, yeah, like I need to do that. Like, stop hiding behind my screen. So, and also too, just like to build up our friendships too, like on the positive side, not just, I mean, it's all positive, the things that I want by making this transition, but just wanting not being able to, or not just being able to communicate clearly with people, being more concise with my words and in person or over a phone call, but also like building up your relationships, right? Like have, meet up with people in person so they can catch up. And it's so easy these days to get so caught up in our lives. We all get busy, stuff like that, but like I feel like a lot of the time we're not busy, we're just on our phones. We could care less, and then it's not until like I could be wrong, but I feel like a lot of people, they feel like they're connected because of social media and stuff like that, like they're updated on their friends' lives, but we're not. Like, it'd be nicer to have, like a lunch once a month with, a friend you haven't talked to in a while. Like, yes, you saw that they just had a baby, or yes, you saw that they just got a promotion or whatever, but it's like, what else is going on with them? So better communication to build better relationships, better, problem solving, resolution skills, and just being polite and having etiquette and giving people your full attention. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to do that. We're getting close, guys. Last 2 reasons. So number 9, I put privacy. Big tech / this in my notes. But the reason I even started looking into this is because I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about how they were talking about like the Instagram like updates, like policy updates and stuff like that. And they were talking about how like it's crazy that like now companies, like social media companies and stuff like that, are just straight out coming out and telling you like, yeah, when you use our app, we have access to your camera, and not just like when you're using it, like they could literally just like chime in and look through your camera and stuff like that without you even knowing. like spying on you, access to your photos, your videos, your entire phone. And like, so now they're not even hiding it, like they're just doing it. And I was like, me being a dummy, I'm like surprised but not surprised, like, but then I'm like, why do I think that that's like, why have I thought that that's okay? And I think it's because a lot of us, we think like, I'm just an average person, I don't really have anything to hide, I'm not, you know, I'm not some kind of terrorist or something, like I'm not like, you know, doing anything bad necessarily. But it's, I mean, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but it's like we have sacrificed so much of our privacy for convenience. I know this isn't like a revolutionary thought, I'm sure you've heard this elsewhere, but it's so true. Like we can get hacked at any moment through just our phones. Like, yes, you could argue you can get hacked through your laptop and stuff like that. Sure, I understand that. But it's so much easier these days because our entire lives are in the palm of our hands in, you know, in phone form. Like, we have these mini computers in our hands, and so much of our lives are dependent on our access to our phone. And it's just nuts. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like we are literally like, the guys I was listening to, I think, I don't know, like rehashing this, I think I was listening to Real AF with Andy, I'm gonna mispronounce his name, Priscilla. Anyway, him and DJ were talking about all this, and they're just like, we need to wake up. Like, you know, we are sacrificing so much of our privacy for convenience. And that is what kind of sent me looking into an alternative lifestyle. I mean, because the phones have become our lifestyle, right? And I was like, you know what? Although I'm going to keep my laptop, I want to transition into a feature phone. So in this case, I don't want big tech to have as much access to my life as, you know, as they do now. Like, they should have way less. And the only person that can control that really is myself. And that means I got to sacrifice some conveniences, including my smartphone. Okay, last one, guys, we made it. Number 10. Number 10 on my list is my health. So I want better health. So when I say health, I don't just mean physically, I mean spiritually, mentally. So on the, I guess I'll just start with the physical, but like the physical part of my health, I have gained so much weight. I mean, forget that I'm pregnant. Like, even before I was pregnant with the second baby, I literally need to lose 50 pounds. Like, that was, I need to, like, minimum. I am overweight. And, you know, contrary to today's culture, as far as like body acceptance or whatever the hell they call it, I am not happy with my body. And it's not because I see healthier, skinnier people and it makes me depressed. That's not at all what it is. I don't feel good. Like, I do not feel good. I especially with my back injury, I just feel old, you know, and especially being pregnant, you know, but I know that's temporary, and a lot of the stuff that hurts now is not going to be an issue once a baby is born, knock on wood. But like, I have joint problems. I feel slow, I feel sluggish. My fatigue isn't as bad because I've been, you know, taking care of some of the supplements that I take, and that kind of helps. But you know, I'm tired of having to buy plus size clothes, and like, as some of you guys might know, like, that stuff's a little bit more expensive, and for a good reason, because it's more fabric. You know what I mean? And I, like, this is gonna sound really shallow, like really weird, but like, I want to be able, like, I have cute like bags and stuff, like travel bags, you know, like luggage, and not that I would go anywhere really, but like, if I wanted to, like, I want to be able to just like throw in some cute clothes, you know, and like them fit, like, and like, I have plus size clothes now, and it's just like, they take up so much more space, even just like in my closet, in my drawers, you know, and I'm not comfortable wearing cute underwear anymore because it's literally just not comfortable. You got more bulk, it's just not comfortable. Like, you need more support, you need, anyway. You want to be body positive or whatever. I see that differently. Like, I'm not over here like mad at myself or self-hating myself. I'm disappointed in myself, but am I like beating myself over the head? And like, no, I just am like realizing, okay, when this baby's born, like, I need to be a good example for my kids. Like, I need to be healthy, like, you know? So in relation to the phone, sorry, long-winded opening there. I heard some time ago, like, I wish I could cite it, but that the amount of screen time that we have, there's a I don't even want to say correlation. There's got to be some correlation or relation to our physical. So like they said, like the more screen time that you have, the more likely that you are to eat more. So like even just like when you're eating dinner, like if you're eating dinner in front of the TV, you're more likely to not pay attention to your body. So like when your body's telling you like, I'm done, I'm full, you're not paying attention. You're paying attention to a screen. So you're more likely to eat more. And while I haven't really paid attention to that personally, I'm sure it's true. And also too, like one thing I have noticed though is that when I'm alone, and watching like TV or something or on my phone, I have like my sugar cravings are so much higher. And I think it has something to do with stress, or just like not paying attention or whatever. I don't know. Like, I wish I could cite what it was years ago that I came across, but I wish I had listened. But anyway, I'm hoping that by switching to a flip phone, I'll reduce my screen time, which will not completely rid me of obesity, but like will help me lose weight. You know, it'll be a benefit. Okay, so onto the spiritual side of it. I kind of talked about temptations, especially with anger and pornography, even though pornography is not necessarily an issue in my life, but I still want to avoid that. I don't want that to be a hindrance in my spiritual life, in my marriage, anything like that. So, you know, I'm hoping that will help on the spiritual side. And also too, just like, we don't realize it, but like through our screens, we are like low key, if not high key, indoctrinated by a lot of evil, like spiritual stuff. Like, I know if you're like secular, like whatever, like you're probably just like rolling your eyes. Okay, that's fine. But like, you have to admit that there's certain forces at play, whether it's like, if you don't want to think of it as like spirits or anything like that, you think about it with corporations and stuff like that. They're constantly trying to put ideas in our heads, right? So, and it usually hurts our spirituality. Like, kind of going back to my insecurity stuff with like Instagram and like comparing myself to, I think that plays a huge role in what these social issues that we're going through right now, especially in the Western world, which is a lot of us young people are so unsure of who we are. We're having an identity crisis. Like, that is, I think I was listening to Ali Beth Stuckey, and she was talking about that we have an identity crisis, especially in the young demographics, because we're constantly on our phones, we're being indoctrinated, we're comparing ourselves. Like, we spend so much time in these like metaverses, right? Like, not in real life, not in, you know, human to human contact. And so we generally don't know who we are. Like, I've noticed even with Pinterest, like I kept Pinterest because I thought it was innocent, and it's not. Like, I will scroll for hours and I will save stuff, and I love Pinterest. Like, I do. Like, it helps me come up with like makeup ideas and nail ideas and like just stuff like that. Like, I love that stuff. Like, I'm not saying that that's necessarily bad or evil, but it's bad when I have this idea of who I am in like this metaverse, right? But it doesn't match my outside. Like that bothers me a lot, you know? I hope that makes sense. But it's just like I'm comparing myself and I get down on myself because I'm like, wow, like I'm not Pinterest. You know what I mean? That's not my life. I mean, you guys can see my bedroom. It's mundane. You know what I mean? And I used to be really embarrassed about that. But I'm like, maybe if I spent less time on my phone, I could actually make that a possibility. You know? And I wouldn't worry about it so much because I wouldn't be comparing myself all the time because I'm not on my phone. Okay, and then lastly is my mental health, and this kind of ties into spiritual health. Like I mentioned, like we're having an identity crisis, that's spiritual and mental. I think people not knowing who they are and getting things confused, even, you know, buying into these things that saying I'm a dude, I'm a lamp, I'm a baby. Anyway, I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole, but like we just have so much mental confusion on things, and I'm not I'm not innocent. I think that in 2016, like going back to then, I got on Lexapro because I was having so much more anxiety, so much more depression. And once I like, even though I didn't like get rid of my smartphone, obviously, I even just removing Facebook from my phone drastically changed my anxiety and my depression. Do I get anxious now? Yes, now and again, I'll catch myself, but I'm not on Lexapro anymore. I haven't been on Lexapro since like 2018 when I found out I was pregnant with Jean. And when I gave birth to her, I was like, do I need to go back on it? And I was like, no, I don't. Like, I've learned coping mechanisms, and I'm hoping that by switching to a flip phone, I will have not like obviously like I mean I'm hoping I eradicate any kind of anxiety related to my phone or, you know, media or anything like that. But yeah, like even if it's just a little bit more less anxiety than I do get now, right? Okay, so what phone am I thinking of getting? A not TLC, TCL flip phone via Charity Mobile. I there's a couple of really cool phones I was like thinking of getting, which were surprisingly expensive. We're talking about like 300 and over, and they're like actually a lot dumber. They're a lot more simple. They're specifically designed and they're a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, I guess, to me anyway. But the reason I'm not going with those ones, one is I can't afford that price tag at the moment. Maybe down the line, but also too, I had to be realistic about this transition, especially based off of other people's experiences and like reflecting on my own personality and habits and needs. I think it would be better to go with this flip phone because it does still have some capabilities, some conveniences that I would be using on the daily that I don't feel would cause me to slip into the same bad habits, that they would actually be a net positive versus a net negative in my life. So like this phone would have a camera, not a great one. It would still have some grainy photos. It would have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capability. While I don't anticipate needing those things too much, it's nice knowing I can have them. And because the phone I would be using, like, it's not like you can get like apps on there, but they're not like what we're used to. It's not going to be as convenient. It's going to be there's going to be a learning curve to them. And also it's going to be in order to use the browser, like I'd really have to like intentionally like get on there. Like it's not as quick as like pushing an app or whatever. So yeah, it would be nice just having those anyway in case I do need it. From what I remember from the reviews I watched on this phone, there is music capability, podcast capability, group chat capability. While at first I was like, I don't really need that, but then I was like, actually I do. I don't think group chats are too much of an issue for me, but I am actually guilty of creating group chats. So, but I do it for a purpose a lot of the time. So, anyway, I still want to have that personally. But is it like a deal breaker? No, but I like knowing that I can do it. Calendar, calculator, kind of those basic functions. I use those a lot. So that would be, I would definitely need those things. And then, what else? I mentioned that it would be through Charity Mobile, and that right now currently they're having a promo where that phone would be free if I sign up through them. And I believe they are prepaid, so I wouldn't be having to sign a contract, but I will get back to you guys on that because I'm not entirely sure. I forgot to ask when I was chatting with one of their representatives. But yeah, I mean, free phone. Cool. I would be paying a little bit more per month for less like data, but that's okay because I'm trying not to use too much data because I'm trying not to use my phone that much. So that's fine. Charity Mobile is a pro-life company, and I would rather put my money towards a company that believes in the same things I do. I'm trying to do that for a lot of things. I've pretty much cut out a lot of brands, a lot of corporations from my life to avoid putting money into things I don't believe in. So anyway, I also put here some of the inconveniences I'm anticipating. So I mentioned like grainy photos and videos. Like it is what it is. Like I don't plan on filming on it. I'm going to be using this phone for a while, my iPhone, until I can afford to get a camera, like a professional like vlogging camera. And then I will let go of this phone if, you know, I haven't backed out like a chicken from having a feature phone. I don't anticipate I will, but especially if I'm having such positive effects, if I'm gaining from having a basic phone. But anyway, another inconvenience is GPS. I believe the phone does have a GPS capability, but it's not great from what I remember from one of the reviews. I'll get back to you on that too. Banking is going to be an issue. So I use my phone a lot to check like our shared account. And I use it for like Venmo and stuff. But I'm like, okay, banking, like this one was kind of a big one for me, and I was like, do I really want to make the switch? And then I was like, yes, I do. Like the positives could be so life-changing for me, and I want to like not do that because I want to have access to our bank account via my phone. Doesn't make sense, right? Anyway, Scannable, I love the Scannable app. It's such a convenience, but I told myself I'll try to find a way around that. It is a really nice luxury to have, not having to physically like put it through my scanner. Like I could just literally take a photo with the app and, you know, but thinking about it, I'm like, how reliant am I on that app? That's not good, because who knows what kind of contract I agreed to, what kind of access I've given. That's another thing. And then the other thing is emails. So that was packaged with the banking. That was like a biggie for me because I was like, oh, I really do use my email like a lot. But I think just like all the other apps I've mentioned, emails is a problem for me. I do find myself checking my emails a lot, and it's just like a coping thing. Like, it's just like a tick. Not even coping, like, it's just a tick. I literally feel the need to check my emails. Like, even when I don't I'm not expecting anything urgent, that's a problem, you know? But anyway, so those are the things I'm expecting to be, I'm gonna have to work around. And to help me with that, I'm gonna try to use cash more if I'm really worried about going over my spending. I'm gonna use my laptop a lot more if I really do feel the urge or need to go on social media or any other websites. I'm going to be using the iPhone camera temporarily until I can get my camera. I already mentioned that. I know people have in their videos brought up second verifications. I'm keeping my phone temporarily also for that, so that I can switch over. So when I do get a new phone number, I'll be using that instead of this phone. So there's that. So I have to work around that. And then planning ahead. So like, a lot of people were kind of complaining about the whole GPS thing. Like, it's really annoying to, and not even just GPS, like, you know, nowadays it's like you can just literally pull up your email or whatever for like verification things, or, you know, itineraries, blah 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 blah. But if you plan ahead, you print things out or write things down, yes, it's inconvenient, but you gotta think, this is how we used to get around, right? This is how our parents used to get around. They would plan things out ahead of time, their directions, their itineraries, their whatever. So it's like, again, like balancing the pros and the cons on the grand scheme of things. Not being able to quickly get to my email, you know, planning ahead for a trip, planning ahead for whatever, it's doable, you know? So there's that. And then I put printing and writing. I'm trying to remember what that means. Anyway, I think that was kind of what I was talking about, planning ahead. And I plan on doing this switch next month. The reason why I didn't do this month is because we're tight on money, and because this wifey here kind of messed up the budget for this month. So yeah, so now we're super tight. So I plan on doing it next month. And also too, it kind of works out as well because it's gonna be such a transition. And right now, like I said, I'm about to pop. This baby about to come out any day now. I feel it too, my body. So yeah, so it's just not an ideal time to do a switch like this, with learning curves and stuff like that. So I'm hoping next month will be the month I start, and I'm telling myself that I'm going to do this for at least 60 days. A lot of people on their videos, they do about 30 days, and I get why, because 30 days they say is like a habit building amount of time. But I think 60 days is better. I feel like it gives you a little bit more time to kind of detox from some of these things that the phone has put into us, you know, as ingrained in us. So yeah, and if let's see if I get it next month, June, July. By July, if I'm still like I really miss my phone, or whatever the case may be, if there's some kind of circumstance where I really, really do need the access of a smartphone, yeah, then maybe I will go back. No harm, no foul, you know? But I'm hoping that's not the case, because I just, based off of what, you know, the good and bad reviews, and I wouldn't even say there's that like many that bad reviews of having a flip phone. There's actually a lot of more positive. I think I have so much to benefit from switching to a feature phone. So I will keep you guys updated on what I decide to do, what I'm doing, you know, things I'm coming across, stuff like that. I'm also going to be still doing my like makeup stuff, so project panning and all that. So don't worry. So if you come to my channel for those things, I'll still be doing that. But if you do find this also interesting, I will also be doing updates on this. So anyway, thanks for listening to my 10 reasons for why I am quitting my iPhone. Bye guys.
Thanks for watching.